All right, I think we are running.
Okay, let me refresh.
Perfect. You can be my audio test. You can let me know. Usually I run an audio test, but you can let me know how my audio volumes are.
Okay, audio on YouTube is fine.
All
Let me
right.
get Twitch.
This is audio check 1, 2, 3. Also make sure
Okay.
you can hear yourself in the video.
Yes, I can.
All right, perfect.
Testing.
All right.
Perfect. I can hear you on Twitch as well.
You can hear me on Twitch and you
Or hear
can hear
myself on
yourself.
Twitch, should I say.
Perfect. All right. Unless I need to speak with you directly, I guess I'll just chat like this and you'll be able to hear me. And if you have any questions,
Sounds good.
feel free to bug me and I can like talk to you over Discord. I also think there's a delay when we talk or when I talk and when you receive the information. Ooh. Ooh, I want to show you something actually. Check this out. See the cursor?
Oh, I can, yeah.
It's
It's locked now.
yeah, it's locked. That's called latching.
That's cool.
I got that working
How did you get that?
last night, something like that. And it will only latch against
Will it only latch
anything that,
onto the targets?
yeah, it'll only latch to a track.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
I need to get the cursor movement off of the arrows because we use that to increment and decrement the range. But yeah. So I got that working because we were going to need that for like all these other tickets we were going to be working on.
Sweet. Oh, there's a lot of tickets.
All right, so
38?
what's up?
You have 38 tickets you created?
Yeah, so I created a bunch. Ooh, this push to talk isn't going to work right now. It's the back button for the browser. I'm going to have to fix that. Hopefully the Alt button works. I can't think of any use case for Alt that I have for programming. Ooh, wait. Maybe I can.
Alt tab.
Multi-line editing, I think, gets in the way of Alt.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Crap.
Shift Alt is multi-line. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's Control Alt. So I can talk to you while I'm multi-line editing. Maybe I can do right control. All right, there we go. Right control.
All right.
All right, I am unless I guess unless you ask me a question directly, I'm not going to be holding my push to talk down too much, and then I'm just going to go.
Sounds good.
All right, yes. So I created 30 plus issues. I'm using I kind of loosely here because I did make use of AI to scanned the current state of the code base, and I provided AI a list of everything I wanted to knock out for our demo to get done. And I don't know if it's still here. Is this it? Yeah. So I basically told it, like, hey, this is everything I need to get done. And I wrote a markdown file, which I don't think I have on me anymore because I got rid of it. But I wrote a markdown file that described everything that I wanted to get done. And I talked with my team about this earlier and kind of made a giant markdown list of everything we're trying to accomplish. And then this is basically what I fed the LLM. Like, hey, review the current state of the application, review this markdown file, which I called project notes.markdown, and had it generate. And it generated, I think, about 15 high-level tickets. So I kind of went through those tickets. And I was like, this isn't going to work because I want to give my team members an opportunity to contribute in small increments so that they didn't have to burn a lot of time and hours in one sitting to get this done. Because if they take on a ticket, I do need them to get it done. So I had the LLM go back through and try and turn the tickets into more bite-sized chunks. And that's what happened. And I have the GitHub tool on my computer. And so after it created these tickets, which was like 32 tickets, I think. After it created the tickets, I had it use the GitHub tool on my computer to push it all up into my repo. And then I went in and under the Briarthorn projects, prioritized the tickets to make it easy for one of my developers to hop in and grab something and get work done. That being said, I don't have, at least in VS Code, oh, there it is. So these are all the high priority tickets I need to get. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know the extent of context that these tickets provide. Most of that context is going to be in my head. So if any of my developers happen to hop on and start looking at one of these tickets, they're almost certainly going to have to at least talk with me a little bit to figure out where things are, where things need to go, that kind of thing. All of this is to get our initial engagement up and running. So I think I can leave this running for now to maybe entice. I almost need to create like a repeatable scenario here with autopilot so that it's eye candy for anyone who's stopping by the stream. But priorities. We'll get there. Maybe our engagement can do that too. So I need to take a look and see what we need to get done here. One of the highest priority tickets is define typed weapon capability data for missiles and ion cannon. So for our initial engagement scenario, we're going to have some generic flying missiles to attack, deal damage, and we're also going to have an ion cannon. Now, I don't know, visually speaking, what the ion cannon will look like. It'll be cool if we'll eventually get some kind of animated laser beam to pop up that matches the game aesthetically. Until then, I'm honestly would just do like a white line or something like that. Maybe an animated white line. But yeah, so step one is I need to assign this ticket to myself. And then I need to move it into progress, which will move it down here. Then I need to, I think I can use GitHub to create the branch. Create a branch for this issue or link a pull request. Yeah, so I'll create a branch. This will be ticket 78. Create the branch. And then in my project here, I can clone it. Fetch to make sure we get the latest and greatest. I already forgot what number that ticket was. 38, 78?
78.
Define typed weapon capability. There we go. So we switch over to that, and now I am good to do some work. And what work is that? It's in the ticket. So I also had AI generate acceptance criteria. That's flexible. I obviously will have final say, and I might change things on the fly as we learn more, but I wanted something there to give developers an idea of what to tackle and possibly ask me better questions to help them get work done. So the acceptance criteria here says a missile and ion cannon capability data can be expressed without hard-coded per weapon branches in scene scripts. You're right. So this is basically saying I need a way to generically define weapon capability and then assign a weapon type so that when a weapon is in use, we can look up the data of that weapon type. Weapon data includes typed fields for damage type, yeah. Missile data includes a detonation timeout. Okay, so a fuse radius, if we're not familiar with what a fuse is, a weapon, say a missile, as it's flying towards my aircraft here, this is my aircraft, and this is my missile, it's eventually going to, based on its own guidance capabilities or radar capabilities, it'll eventually like sense that, hey, it's near its target. Well, in real life, missiles don't impact like this most of the time. Most of the time, it's going to detonate and then do blast damage to anything nearby. And so part of that is fusing. All right, so it knows it's near and it's going to arm itself to detonate. So it starts to fuse, and it might even rotate itself to make sure any shrapnel that wants to use to hit its target, it'll rotate and then detonate. So you're basically like flying, fusing. Okay, I'm in range, so now it's time to fuse, and then detonate. Boom, right? So that's kind of what the fuse radius is. It's basically, for our video game, it's going to be some arbitrarily defined radius to say, hey, you're within my damage radius and I need to detonate to do damage to you. So the question then becomes, where in the world do I even begin to put this? In our Godot project, we do have a database folder. Oh, look, my VS Code gives it a database icon. Huh. So we do have a database folder. This is where we're essentially going to, for our video game, define any static data, basically our configuration. Anytime we need to tweak capability, adjust parameters, it's almost certainly going to happen in this folder. And then we load this folder during the game in order to perform any lookups of whatever we're trying to do. This is where we're going to contain all of our sprites, all of our different aircraft types, items, things like that. That's all going to come in here. Right now I have a types folder that defines the visual elements. It's probably not the greatest naming convention right for now. But for weapon data, I am going to assume we want a weapon folder. And we are currently defining data, I think, as scripts. This is where with Godot, I don't know if we're going to eventually want to use a T resource file. But in the meantime, I think we can get by with just using straight Godot scripts for now. And then if we need to adjust, we'll adjust. So, weapon. I think this issue requires a missile. So I'll create a missile.gd. Ooh. Do we do plural or singular? Have we landed on commands, controls, data, models? Looks like plural. Consistent naming conventions. That's the key. Weapons. Okay. And then we want an ion cannon, which is a very specific type of weapon. So I would think that a little more generically, we could say laser. And then in the game, a specifically defined laser is an ion cannon. So let's just call this a laser. What else do we need? The design notes require weapon attributes such as damage, damage type, fuse radius, and ion cannon also needs different behavior from a missile. Without typed weapon data, all parameters end up as magic numbers and controller scripts. Create typed weapon definition data for missile. Yeah, so this is a very small ticket. So that's part of why I created a bunch of tickets. Is I really just need to define this laser and missile, and my ticket's done, right? Because that's the level of contribution I'm wanting from my team at this point, is when they have a little bit of free time, because everyone's got their own lives to live, they're busy, there's no guarantee this game's going to make any kind of money. But yeah, so I just need a couple of static data types that we can load, because it's all going to get added to this this global database node, which is defined somewhere. I think it's defined in the Godot project, to perform a lookup. And we're going to have to look it up based on, I have an entity type somewhere. Maybe, where did I define that? We might have to change where we define that. Data, or no, it's a type. Data type. Yeah. These enumerations might have to move, because these enumerations are what we're going to use to look up our weapon types. Because we might have weapon, air, missile to look up our database weapon missile, but I don't have anything for laser, right? So what would that fall under? So we have weapon air. So let's see, we have vehicles, ground, vehicles, air, weapons. I don't know if I need vehicles, weapons. So a laser is essentially an energy weapon, so I think that's what I'm going to categorize it as. So weapon, energy. So this is maybe where we define the ion cannon. I don't know. I'll have to think about this. Weapon, energy, unknown. Weapon, energy, laser. We'll start there, generically. Ion cannon. We could do weapon, energy, plasma. Is ion cannon a plasma weapon? Ooh, I didn't even think about that. I gotta look that up. Is this not really a laser? Because a laser is light, right? It's light and heat. And ions, ion cannon, matter? How do we look that up? How do we even look that up? An ion cannon was a weapon which fired highly ionized particles or highly ionized plasma. Ion cannons were energy weapons that were similar to laser cannons. You know what? Perfect. That's good enough for me. All right, I like it. So we're gonna go with a. We'll add laser because we might want lasers. Ooh, we got to be careful here. This is a bad habit of mine. Just because we might want lasers doesn't mean we have lasers. So I'm changing this. So I'm only going to add, I try not to, it's a bad habit of mine, but try to stick to the scope of the ticket unless we have a discussion and decide there's more we need to do. So I actually want to just stick with a energy plasma. So instead of laser, we're going to rename this plasma, a plasma weapon. Maybe even eventually call it plasma beam. But this is essentially going to be our ion cannon. Okay, so the ticket also says we need to define capability. Now, at some point, we might need to be a little bit more generic with our capability so we can perform lookups where it's like, hey, given this weapon type, if I pass in weapon air missile or weapon energy plasma, I still want to return a somewhat generic type so that I can look up the like damage or the type of damage off of it. But something specific would be missile impact radius or that fuse radius I was talking about, where a missile would detonate after a certain radius on its target, or a missile will eventually run out of time and will have to detonate itself. Whereas a plasma beam, it might have a maximum range that it can reach. Technically, we could say a missile has a maximum range it could reach. So I'm trying to think what would be useful when we're actually calculating damage, because we're going to have a command. We're going to have a command that says fire weapon, given a source, you, the player, and a target, who you're targeting. Because I think the same command we're going to use for our AI, are like, not like LLM AI, but video game AI. Because we're eventually going to want to have the enemies fire on us and use the same command system. So that command system, the question becomes, do we have a weapon system per weapon type, or do we have a general weapon system? I think we have a general damage computation system, which we could do a generic lookup of different weapon damage and type. But then we might have different weapon capability systems, right? So one weapon, like a missile, might fly like an aircraft, whereas an energy beam is just going to be like a straight line, and it either hits or it doesn't, right? So general weapon calculation, different systems for different weapon capability, and then what else? So because impact calculations, right? Does the weapon hit or not? Is that general? A missile would detonate with a given radius, whereas a bullet would do damage based on specific impact. And that's all going to depend on how we implement those calculations, because I think technically we could use Godot to handle the collisions for us, and then if a collision occurs, have it initiate one of our commands, our like Briarthorn API commands. We don't have to do it that way, but we could. Might be easier. So it sounds like I'm convincing myself that we need a generic weapon type and then potentially specific weapon types. So missile and ion cannon capability data can be expressed without hard-coded per weapon branches in scene scripts. Missile data, okay. So I'm wondering if... So these need to be like... I need to rename this, because we are going to need types. Oh boy. Except I should probably rename this in the Godot application so it refactors correctly. It's the only downside. So I think this needs to be renamed. And it needs to be renamed to, I guess just call it scenes. And did that actually refactor? It didn't. Okay. It's not that intelligent. All right, let's make sure that still runs. Perfect. Okay. So that's still good. No errors. All right, cool. That's all I needed to do there. So then I need to create a new folder called types. So this is where we're going to define actual classes for our database. So then this guy will return those specific types. Now we kind of are doing something like that right here, but I can create a type that will contain this type of information in addition to other information we might need. Because this is almost like, hey, this is visual type information. Now we want weapon type information. So types would be like, this is generic types. What are we calling this? We're calling this data. So this would be like, oh, type weapon. We would also want type scene. This is probably out of scope for this ticket, but I don't think I have any other tickets that address this, and I do want to use this, so I am, as the chief software architect, lead engineer, owner, I deciding to go out of scope for this ticket to get this done. So type weapon is essentially going to contain generic fields for what a weapon can do. Damage, damage type, that kind of thing. Now the next question is, what's its base type going to be? Is it a resource? Because I think I make these resources as well. And resources, as I understand, are serializable? Question mark. So I think that's what I do here. Class name, type weapon, extends, resource. I think that's what I do. So then a weapon might have, this is something we don't know about for our game. If we have a range of damage, like, do we always do a specific amount of damage, or do you do a, you almost like roll a die, right? This would be like in D&D where a dagger does 1d4. It does 1 to 4 damage plus a bonus. You right, a specific weapon or a specific item that you're carrying might add a bonus to the damage. Ooh. What do we do? Decisions. Okay. I think for now, because we don't know what we're going to do yet, I'm just going to create damage. And we'll keep it simple for now and just call it a float. Are we going to be extending the weapon? Is this how this is going to work? I want to do... Yeah, I guess we are. So we almost need to do virtual or like interface. We almost need to do like an interface. And I think I have an example of this somewhere, but I don't remember where I did it. Command. Okay. No, I don't want to do a class. I want to do data. I think maybe I don't have a missile type defined here. I just define a general missile with the data fields and then register it. I also think that this data type has to get moved. Because we're going to need type entity. Yeah, I think that's what we do. We have a type entity that acts as like our composable entity. And then we add a scene and weapon info to the entity. And then that entity gets added to this file, which can be looked up. So I need to move data type. This just becomes type, I think. Type category dot gd. So I think this becomes type category. An entity has a type category. Oh, my groceries are here. I am going to think about this for a sec and get my groceries inside. I will be right back. All right. I am excited. I bought some Italian meatballs I want to add to some ramen noodles and veggies and try and turn that into a new meal idea. We'll see how it works. All right. I think this works, but I need these to be like optional nullable parameters, I guess. I don't know, does that work? Is this the Godot way? I don't know. Ooh. Packed scene. Oh. That's probably what I want, right? Because then we can check if an entity has the available information, use it. Otherwise, we can, I mean, worst case scenario, we throw an error or something. So we have a weapon that we can look up. We have a type we can compare against. This isn't nullable. That's not right. This is not nullable. So what do I need to do? I need to not make that a, so maybe I don't have type category. It's just the enums. I don't know how Godot does this. I don't want it to be part of like a class or anything. I just want to use the enums. Do I still side category? Because what I really want is, I'm going to open up the editor to see what I'm allowed to do or not. So type weapon isn't, is that not a thing yet? Oh, let's make that a thing. Class name, type weapon, extends, resource. Okay, now it's a thing. Type category. I almost need this to be var side. Can I do that? Equals. I don't even need that though. Can I just make this types? So if I don't make this a resource, can I rename this? Make it like type enums? And then an entity here, can I just do side dot well, that's not right. Uh-oh. Might not be allowed to do this. Unknown. Side unknown. Is that allowed? Doesn't seem to be allowed. Okay. So do I just give it a class name? Because I don't need to instantiate the class. Enums. I'm always hesitant to give a generic name, like a generic programming name, one of my classes, because that might interrupt or get in the way of other people's names. So if I say enums.side.category, can I do... Okay, that works. I don't like that name though. So let's do... Hardest part about programming is naming. Decisions. I'm thinking we go with types. Class name types. Types.side, types.category. Because we probably will want more enums eventually. Type entity. So types dot side, types dot side. Okay, perfect. Category. Types dot category dot equals types dot category dot unknown. Okay. So now we can assign values to our type entity to perform a lookup inside our types database. And then that lookup will return an entity, a type entity, which we can grab our data off of, whether that's the visual data, the predefined weapon data, that kind of thing. Cool. I'm liking that. So at least it's a good start, I think. So we have types. We have a type entity. So now we need to define a generic missile. And how do I guess I need to see how I actually want to do the registration. Because now this becomes something like, why does it not like this? I say that should have been unknown. Uh-oh. I'm trying to think how this actually gets registered now. Because right now it does a dictionary of category scene, but this is really going to become an entity type now. I guess we would do category and type entity, and then define the type, the registered type entities here. Now it would be nice if I could separate out the definitions so that it'll be easier to look up, because eventually, inevitably, this will turn into a massive thousands and thousands of lines file. Whereas if I could break this up into individual files, that would be better for maintenance purposes. I'm going to change the music, I think. Something just a little softer, I think. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. All right, so what is this going to look like? Because I think... I want to make this composable. It's already composable-ish. We get the type weapon. Well, I guess before I move on, let me clean up the rest of this code. Now that this is moved here, we actually need to get rid of data type entirely. And then data entity no longer has a data type. It's going to have a var side types dot side equals unknown and a category unknown. So we'll do that. And then our database types here, this goes away and this becomes types dot category. Yep. And then I think, is it our track list that needs that information? That might not matter. Let's verify. Oh, I see what I'm doing wrong. Had the wrong thing open. Okay, reload from disk. It doesn't like. Oh, do I not have an unknown scene? I do. What's its issue? Invalid path. Unknown.tscene. Oh, whoops. Uncone. Huh. That's a whoops. Rename to unknown.tscene. Okay, that should fix that. I hope. Can I refresh? Okay. Oh, takes it. Oh, I ran it and it took us to our first error. So this becomes types side dot bad. Okay. And then if I run, go to the next error. Ooh. Still doesn't like that. Track has a dot type. What is data track? Can I go to definition? Lookup symbol. Data type. So a data track does not have a type anymore. It has a category. Types dot category equals types dot category dot unknown. And we also have a side. Like, what side are we on? Cool. Okay, let's keep running, see if it still breaks. We are still breaking. We are breaking in our global initialization script, right? Because we're not doing a type anymore. This is types dot types dot types dot. Cool. We still don't like. Oh yeah, this isn't type anymore. There we go. Okay, credit where credit's due. If I was doing this in pure C++, I would not be able to quickly resolve errors like this. What do we got here? Track.type isn't a thing. So this needs to be track.category equals target.category. And then we need to duplicate this and do the same for side. Rerun. Is it bad that the only thing I'm thinking about is how much quicker this would be if I just told AI to implement? I mean, part of the problem is I wasn't sure how I wanted to solve this yet, but now that I think I do know how I want to solve it, I bet AI would finish up this ticket for me. Okay, so now we have the issue of, this, type track.category, track.side. Okay, so that's good. Saving. Unable to write to the main scene file, use locked or lacking permissions. Okay. Interesting. Oh, I wonder if that's because I have another instance of this application running. It just occurred to me that my vertical viewers, all 0 of you, probably cannot see what I'm doing because I did not set up my scene correctly. There's probably a way to help with that. Let's run this again. Okay, now what are we dealing with? Interesting. Okay, this is getting annoying. Let's close this guy. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. That looks good. We latched on, so that's good. Awesome. All right. So that refactoring is done. So let's commit some changes here because I've refactored a lot. Let's do what do I not need? I don't need the type entity stuff yet. Type scene, type weapon. I'm not using that yet. I am using types because I got rid of the data type. Data track now uses it. Any other scripts that need it are using it. Okay. Move type definitions to types.jd under database. Okay. I can go ahead and push that up. All right, we're getting close. I think we're almost done with this ticket. So now I need to update this guy with the type entity registration. I don't know if Godot has a clean way to do this. So we need to give it a side, a category, a type, and potentially a scene and potentially a weapon type. So we don't have, let's see, potentially a scene. We can do that. We can do that right now, I think. So this now becomes const what? Entities dictionary type entity types.category comma type entity equals. So what does this look like? This looks like type.category.unknown becomes, so here I think this needs to become like type entity dot, is it new or init? Instantiate, init, new. And then how do I give it type scene equals preload. Like, how do I do this? I don't know if I know how to do this. Clearly this is wrong. I don't know how to do this. Do I need to give it an init function? I'm going to use AI here because I don't know the answer. Actually, before I do AI, let me figure out what to do with the weapon. I need to figure out how I want to handle that weapon. So we can define a missile type. And a missile type is just a type entity with type weapon instantiated with certain parameters. So maybe it's not, maybe it needs to be a little bit more composable than that. Maybe it's not a weapon type, or I guess it could still be a weapon type, but maybe there's like type damage. And type damage has all the fields for the amount of damage something does, if it does damage. That's overboard. We'll stick to type weapon for now until we need to change it. So type weapon, I was thinking, is just like damage, range. What else? Because a missile's going to have a timeout. I think our ticket wants us to address, like, have a timeout field. Detonation timeout. Does it make sense for a weapon to have a generic timeout? Excuse me. We'll just say it has one for now. Timeout. Does Godot have a seconds type? I guess not. We'll just give it a float. All right, let me open up the editor, actually. Oh, it doesn't like... Why is it not like that? There's a built-in range function. What? That's so dumb. All right, what else would this be called? We'll give it a range max. All right. I'm guessing Godot does not have a seconds type. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, that's fine. We'll just stick to floats. So we got damage, range, timeout. So we could have type damage unknown. What other damage types are there? Kinetic? What would be an impact? Physical, kinetic. I guess everything's kinetic and everything's physical. Impact. Blast. So like a blast radius. What would the ion cannon be? That's like heat? Lasers, heat? Fire? Fire damage? Fire damage? Something like that, I guess. Okay. I don't know if did we talk about damage types in the ticket? Maybe I'm doing that thing again where I'm going out of scope. Yeah, damage type. Okay. Oh, we don't have like a radius either. I guess I'll do float. I just want to be consistent here. We might have fractional damage. I don't know. Damage radius, and let's move this up and call this damage type. Yeah, okay. It's not just damage radius though, it's fuse radius. That's a whole different thing. We need a fuse radius. Range max, timeout, bar, fuse radius. The radius to fuse. The radius to fuse. The radius. Fuse range. Fuse radius. Damage radius. Fuse radius. Fuse range, I think, is actually what I want. Fuse range. The range needed to begin a weapons detonation sequence. Sequence? Is that how you spell sequence? Okay. Why is it not like that? There's no way this is already a defined... Okay. The range needed to begin a weapons detonation sequence. And then a timeout. The time for a weapon to either die or detonate. That's not the right word. The time... The timeout defines the length of time before a weapon expires. Expired weapons typically might not. Expired weapons have failed to reach their target within the time window. Yeah, because sometimes, you know, if a missile is launched too far away from its target, you have a chance to kind of turn tail and escape before it can reach you, even if the missile is flying really fast. So I think, okay, so I think that takes care of that. So I can pull this back up just so we have it on hand. Ooh, I broke something. Ooh, I broke something big time. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, I did break something. Right, because I was in the middle of trying to figure out how Godot does this. I don't actually know how to initialize... I don't know the best way to instantiate a bunch of my type database with Godot parameters. So I wanted to get my weapon defined, and then I was just going to have AI look up the documentation for me, so I don't have to do it myself. So I defined the type weapon. So then what I'm expecting to do here is in Godot, I need to... This might just need to be like an on ready thing, because I bet I could do this on ready. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ask AI to take a look and see what it thinks. Overwrite type entity. What? No, don't do that. Type weapon. It doesn't like max allowed line length. Ooh, my linting is getting in the way of type weapon. So let's do this. That should work, right? If I mouse over this? No? Yeah, anyway. Okay. So what I want to do is pull up my DB types file and let the AI know what I'm trying to do. I have updated. No, I have not updated. I have added a new way to register static data for my game via type entity. I would like to initialize type entities inside my dbtypes.gd file. I'm not sure of the best or least verbose way to do this. Currently, types, what am I doing? DB types registers scenes to category enumerations inside a dictionary. I want to use type entity instead so that I can start adding additional static data or static data such as weapon damage to my weapon damage and type. I can start adding additional static data such as weapon damage and type to my game. Should this be an ready initialization, or are there other ways? Question mark. All right, let's see what it does. Ooh, and make sure I stage my changes so if it does start to change stuff, I can at least review what was changed. The current shape is an auto-loaded node with compile time preload data, not a runtime loaded database. I'm checking how DB types is consumed and whether type entity needs to stay lightweight static registry versus becoming a node lifecycle concern. There's a duplication problem in the current file. Scenes and entity. Well, that's because I was trying to. You jerk. I've confirmed consumers only need scene color today. Well, yeah, because I'm in the middle of adding more. That gives you room to add weapon metadata now without forcing all the site churn. Found an actual parse error. Ah, okay. I probably shouldn't have left my unusable code right here in the file for the AI to get hung up on. So that's on me. Uh-oh. It's editing the registry now. Here we go. Oh boy. Let's see what it's doing. So this is effectively like another way to do what I'm doing is, you know, you build up a database like, well, you can use an actual database, right? You could use SQL, for instance. You could use a giant JSON file. But I figured if we are going to be loading this data into our game either way, I could save us a step of having to parse that JSON and do it like this. I don't know if that's actually better because I'm sure Godot probably has a way to parse the JSON. And maybe it would be easier to write this as JSON, but at least this gives us a little bit of type safety, I think. Okay, so let's see what it actually managed to come up with and see if I agree with it. Oh boy. I might need to reload Godot. Okay, well, it doesn't like what it came up with. So it added the ability to do this. So I'm guessing that means type entity has a... Oh, it doesn't have a constructor. Too many arguments for new. Why does it think this is okay then? Because did it not run? If I refresh, what happens? Oh. So Godot is complaining this is an error, but saying it isn't here. So it is building entities as a dictionary. We register the entities here. We create new entity. And then, okay, so it's just passing in the values as a commented list. What is underscore weapon? Underscore weapon is a function to instantiate a new weapon and return its values. Okay. So can I not pass in? Does Godot really not have constructors? Oh, this doesn't look promising. So, okay, so I need to use a .init. Is that what I'm seeing? So Godot does have constructors. So maybe that's what I want. So I kind of want to do... Like, this is right here. This is kind of what I want. But I want to be able to do... All right. Let's see what AI can do here. Instead of a weapon instantiation function, could I define init on type weapon so that I can pass all of the values in via type weapon.new? See what it says. We shall see what it says. Because I kind of just want to call type weapon.new on this line and pass these values in. Just like that. Yep. Okay. So that's a little better. It still sucks that we don't know what values these are and what we're assigning them to. So I am leaning towards... I don't know. I'm just not quite a Godot expert yet, so I'm not sure how I want to manage this data. But I would almost want to do maybe I do create a specific missile type, and then this becomes, instead of type weapon.new, this becomes generic missile.new, like that. And then we don't have this information here at all. So if you want to look up generic missile information, you go into its file to see what values were initialized for it. Same here. But then that means I am... What am I doing? I am extending type weapon, I guess. And then the, I still define an init, but I hard code the values into type missile. Is that what I do? It's the problem when you're using a game engine you've never used before. You don't know what the best practices are. So this is probably something I will have to watch some YouTube videos on or something. But in the meantime, I think my idea will work and it will resolve the ticket I'm working on. So I think what I do here is, instead of this, I create a missile, class name missile, extends type weapon. Ooh, you know what? Maybe I can go a step further. Maybe this extends type entity. And then I have function init. Ooh, look at that. AI autocomplete. Let's go. Ooh, it doesn't like something. The line too long? Oh, I don't want to, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. No, stop. So what's going on here? Oh, max line length exceeded. Okay, yeah. So now I do weapon, damage radius, impact, range max, 20,000 meters, fuse range, 30-second timeout. Is there anything else? What was I doing? So we got 8-0 impact, 20,000, 150. Okay. So then this gets assigned the type weapon, and the type scene equals missile.scene. Yes, there we go. Okay, that works. And then we can also do it just occurred to me, we don't need type entity. Oh, do I not have... I think we still want category. On this. So then the missile gets category equals weapon air missile. Okay, so this is where we can kind of hard define our entity types, I guess. This is subject to change. We're still early in development. And then plasma then, except a missile will have a damage radius. It won't be impact, it will be blast. So it's going to have a damage radius of, let's say, 30 meters sounds good. A maximum range of 20,000. That's like how far it can go before it, or how. If you're further than this, then your aircraft's computer might say, "Hey, you can't shoot." Fuse range. That's when it's going to start the detonation process. Or that's when it can detonate on the aircraft, which I might end up making this the same thing just to simplify the game. We don't really need real world stuff in this. And then a 30-second timeout. Let's do 60 seconds. And yeah, okay, so that's a missile. So then if we come back into the database types here, this no longer becomes type entity.new. This becomes missile.new? Question mark? All right. How does Godot like that at all? Because the other thing we're going to run into is get scene. We get the entity. If it has the scene, we return it. Otherwise, we return the fallback. Okay, so that should still work. So what problems do we have here? Missile not declared in the current scope. Am I not allowed to do that? What did I screw up? Does anyone know? The other thing I could do here, I think, is create a static variable of the missile type. Okay, what am I doing wrong here? I'll call it type missile. So this now becomes type missile. So maybe missile was a bad name, or Godot just needed, oh boy, too many arguments. Okay, I'm gonna run it. Success. All right, Godot is running. No errors currently. So I think we're onto something here. So we initialize type missile. Now we could have this all in one file, but I think this might make things a little easier to add and remove what do you call it? Different entity types for our video game. So now I'll be able to like create a new missile type. So different types of missiles I can define a new scene for, and then any of the entities in our world, I just assign them this enumeration, and boom, if our aircraft picks them up, it'll show up on the radar screen, and we'll be good to go. So right now, I don't have all that implemented. This is just step one, getting the data figured out. I need to get the cursor movement off of my zoom in and out button. But yeah, so it follows our enemy aircraft that we're dealing with, and we've got a bunch of enemy aircraft out to the side. But once now that I have this data defined for my weapon types, we'll be able to extend that, increase the amount of different weapon types we're going to have, the different types of damage. We're going to have to implement some logic to handle all these different weapon types. That's part of it. But then I'll be able to get these bad guys to fire on me, and that'll be great, because then it's going to start actually feeling like a game. Okay, so that's defined for a weapon. I also still need to, as per my ticket that I'm working on, I need to define, I think, an ion cannon, right? Because I think our big bad is going to be blasting us with plasma. Ion cannon. Okay. So that's what this plasma weapon is. So I basically can just copy and paste this. Except now this is type plasma. And a plasma might do like 1,000 damage. But its radius is... What kind of radius do I give a beam of energy? I feel like you don't need to be directly impacted. I feel like if the beam of energy is close to your aircraft, right? You're like flying around, and then this how do I represent a plasma? This beam of plasma is coming, and there's some energy off of here, right? It doesn't have to be a direct impact. So maybe I give it like a radius of 5. No, that's like 5 meters. That's way too far. We'll do 1 meter. Max range. So how far can a plasma beam go before... I don't think 20,000 meters is right, because part of this this bad guy engagement we're dealing with is he's going to be trying to get behind you so that he can just blast you out of the sky. And you're going to be doing everything in your power to keep him in front of you, while also dealing with his sidekicks, essentially. The if you ever watch Power Rangers, it's the Puttyman. So max range isn't going to be that far. It's going to be like 100 meters. He has to get straight up behind you and blow you out of the sky. But it does a metric crap ton of damage. This doesn't have a fuse. It doesn't really have a timeout. I guess we'll have to figure this out. I might have to change this up and split this out into different weapon types themselves. But it'll have a lot of damage, a radius. It won't be blast. It will be, I guess, fire, technically. I don't know if we're going to do anything with this yet. But the ion cannon is going to produce a bunch of heat and kind of melt you out of the sky, if you will. Range max of 100. Okay, all that looks fine. I don't have a plasma scene. I don't know what to do about that yet. So I'm going to give this a unknown for now. And then we do types.category. Okay. So there. So now as we create more entity types, we can register them to our database here and call it a day. Actually, can I still get away with using a const dictionary? I know AI did this, but I wonder... I'm going to try that real quick. So what were we calling it? I'm going to call it... Actually, can I just do this? Does that work? Ooh, Godot does not like that. What if I did this? Does Godot like this? Constant name entities is not a valid case. Oh, that's fair. Entities. Because this is, like, this stuff here I want to load at the start of our game. Like, we're going to need it all in our game in order to do everything we need. Now, I guess if we really wanted to, we would only load the stuff that each level needs. But we're talking order of magnitude of, like, a few kilobytes, I guess. I'm assuming. All right, let's make sure we run our GD format tool. Make sure all of our Godot scripts are formatted. That way we have a consistent style. Otherwise, our software pipelines will fail. And then I'll run gdlint just to make sure. No problems found. All that looks good. If I go back to my ticket, I needed to missile and ion cannon capability data can be expressed without hard-coded per weapon branches and scene scripts. Check. Because now all we have to do is perform a lookup. So based on what entity there is out in the world, we pass that information into the either the get entity function or the get scene function, and that will return the data for our registered entity types, and then we can run logic on that. Don't want that either. What else? Weapon data includes typed fields for damage, damage type, fuse, etc. True. That is right there. In fact, I created a type weapon to do just that. So cool. Check. Oh, did I uncheck that? Missile data includes a detonation timeout. Check. We definitely have that. So this is just step one of at a minimum, a 32 ticket process to create a enemy engagement, where these enemies are going to fly at us, try and shoot us out of the sky. We're going to try and shoot them back. And the whole while, the big bad boss guy is going to try and get behind us and melt our faces off. Okay. So I think all that's good. I'm going to one last sanity check here, especially after formatting, to make sure the game still runs. We do have errors, type plasma. That might be old, out of date. Let me reload the editor. Yeah, what do we got here? Doesn't like something. Assigned value for constant entities isn't a constant expression. Oh. Is that because I'm calling .new? So I don't think I can do what I thought I could do. Does this run? Does Godot let this run? It does not, or we're not letting it. Okay. So I was wrong. We do have to make this a function. So this becomes var entities and then we have to initialize it with actually, can I just do that? Does that work? When do Godot variables get initialized? Is it during the init process? Oh my god, it did not like whatever I'm trying to do. I did not define a weapon air plasma. Oh, that is true. It's not weapon air, it's weapon energy plasma. Our pipelines would have caught these errors either way, so I'm not too worried about it. All right. So it's a good thing I ran that sanity check. Okay. Let's run the format again one more time. Cool, 0 files changed. Run the lint one more time. Cool, no problems found. I think all is well now. Make sure there's no debug outputs. Nope, we're good. All right. I'm going to commit these changes. And if the pipelines pass, merge it. Implement database types for missile and ion cannon. Boom. We can come in here. Go to Briarthorn. Create a pull request. And if all is good, we'll merge it. And I am getting extremely hungry, so I think this will be a good stopping point. Create pull request. Jamal, you still there? Jamal, you still there? Might not be. You're muted if you're still there. I might be talking to myself. And maybe a lucky viewer. Okay, so all that looks good. Where is my view pull request? And if it passes our pipelines, we are good to merge. Find type weapon capability for missiles and ion cannon. This will be 1 ticket down and 31 more to go before we have an official demo to hand over to a couple of friends to see if the game is any fun at all. Hopefully it's a little fun, because then we can build from it and improve it. And not just like miserable. We're building for Linux, Mac, and Windows. Wanted to see if I actually had any viewers on YouTube. I don't seem to be picking up a lot of steam on the YouTubes. It mostly seems to be coming from Twitch and my shorts. Yep, no views. That's okay. We shall persevere. Come on. Did these take a minute? I don't think I remember it taking that long. Oh, it's got to install Godot. That's fair. All right. I think I am going to end this stream. Yep, we're passing. We're good. All right. I am going to end this stream here. Anyone who came by to see what I was working on, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming by.